Why caring too much is ruining your life, and how to fix it. When caring too much becomes a silent trap. Why caring too much is ruining your life, and how to fix it. There is a moment in life when something inside you feels tired. Not your body, not your muscles, but your mind and your heart. You wake up one day and feel heavy. You feel slow. You feel quiet. And you do not know why. You look at your life. Everything seems normal. You talk to people. You smile. You go to work. You answer messages. But inside, something is not right. You feel tired of explaining yourself. You feel tired of trying to be understood. You feel tired of being nice all the time. And slowly, a question appears in your mind. Why am I always the one who cares more? This question is powerful because it is honest. Most people do not ask this question. They keep going. They keep giving. They keep adjusting. Until one day, they lose themselves. Let's start from the beginning. When you were young, you learned something important. You learned that being kind is good. You learned that being polite is right. You learned that making others happy is valuable. People praised you when you behaved well. They smiled when you agreed. They liked you when you were easy to be around. So you learned a simple rule. If I care more, people will like me more. At first, this works. You make friends. You avoid conflict. You feel accepted. It feels safe. But slowly, something begins to change. You start to think before you speak. Too much. You choose your words carefully, not to express yourself, but to avoid problems.
You stop saying what you really think because you fear judgment. You say yes when you want to say no. You agree when you feel uncomfortable. And every time you do this, you lose a small part of yourself. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is quiet, very quiet, like a slow leak. Day by day, you give your time, you give your energy, you give your attention, but you do not notice something important. You are not receiving the same in return. At first, you do not mind. You tell yourself, it's okay, I'm just being kind, they will appreciate it. But over time, things feel different. People start expecting your kindness, not appreciating it. They assume you will always be there. They assume you will always understand. They stop asking. They just take. And you allow it, not because you are weak, but because you care. You care about their feelings. You care about their opinions. You care about not hurting them. But here is the truth. While you are protecting their feelings, no one is protecting yours. This is where the problem begins. Caring is not bad. Caring is human. But caring without limits is dangerous. Because without limits, people do not see your value. They see your availability. They do not respect your time. They use it. They do not respect your kindness. They expect it. And slowly, you start feeling something new. Exhaustion. Not physical exhaustion, emotional exhaustion. You feel drained after simple conversations. You feel tired after helping others. You feel empty even when you are surrounded by people. This is a signal. Your mind is telling you something. You are giving too much. But you ignore it because you think stopping would be selfish. You think saying no would make you a bad person. You think choosing yourself would hurt others. So you continue, and the cycle repeats. You give, they take. You stay silent, they take more. Until one day, you sit alone, and you feel something deep, a quiet sadness. Not because people hurt you, but because you allowed it. This realization is painful. But it is also powerful, because now you can see the truth. No one forced you to overgive. No one forced you to stay silent. You did it, out of kindness, out of fear, out of habit. And that means something important. You can change it. But before you change it, you need to understand something deeper. Why do you care so much? The answer is simple, but also deep. You want to be accepted. You want to feel valued. You want to feel important. You want to feel enough. So you try to earn it by being helpful, by being kind, by being available. You believe that if you give enough, you will finally feel enough. But this belief is wrong, because no matter how much you give, it will never feel complete. Why? Because you are looking in the wrong place. You are looking for value outside, when it should come from inside. This is the trap. The more you care about what others think, the less you listen to yourself. The more you try to please everyone, the more you lose your own direction. And slowly, you forget who you are. You forget what you like. You forget what you want. You forget what you need. You only remember one thing. What will they think? This question becomes your prison. It controls your choices. It controls your behavior. It controls your emotions.
You become careful, too careful. You stop taking risks. You stop being honest. You stop being real. Because you are afraid. Afraid of rejection, afraid of conflict, afraid of not being liked. But here is the truth you need to hear. You cannot be liked by everyone. No matter how kind you are, no matter how careful you are, some people will still misunderstand you. Some people will still judge you. And if you try to please everyone, you will lose yourself. That is the real cost. Not rejection, but self-loss. And this is why caring too much is ruining your life. Not because caring is wrong, but because you are caring in the wrong way. You are giving without boundaries. You are loving without limits. You are helping without protection. And now, you are paying the price. But this is not the end of the story. This is the beginning of change. Because once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it. Once you feel the pain, you cannot ignore it forever. Something inside you is waking up. A new voice, a calm voice, a strong voice. And it is asking you one simple question. What about you? What about your peace? What about your time? What about your energy? For the first time, you start thinking about yourself. And this is where everything begins to shift. Not fast, not loud, but real. You start noticing things. Who respects you? Who ignores you? Who listens? Who only talks? You start seeing clearly, and clarity is power. Because now you have a choice. You can continue the old pattern, or you can choose a new way, a better way. A way where you still care, but you also protect yourself. A way where you are kind, but not available for everyone. A way where you give, but not at the cost of your peace. This is the beginning of freedom. And in the next part, you will understand something deeper. How caring too much creates a mental prison, and why your mind feels tired even when nothing is wrong. This is where the real transformation starts. Part 2. The invisible prison of your mind. There is a prison that most people never see. It has no walls, no locks, no guards, but it is real. And if you care too much, you are already inside it. This prison is not outside. It is inside your mind. It is built slowly, thought by thought, fear by fear. At first, it feels normal. You think you are just being careful. You think you are just being polite. You think you are just being a good person.
But something deeper is happening. You begin to watch yourself. Every word you say, every action you take, every reaction you show. You start asking questions. Was that okay? Did I say something wrong? Do they like me? These questions repeat again and again and again. Even when the conversation is over, you replay it in your mind. You remember small details, a tone, a pause, a look, and you analyze everything. Too much. You imagine what they might think. You imagine what they might feel. And slowly, you lose peace. Your mind becomes noisy, even when you are alone, even when everything is quiet. Inside your head, there is always something happening, always thinking, always worrying, always checking. This is the invisible prison. You are not forced into it. You walk into it, step by step. Every time you care too much about opinions, every time you fear judgment, every time you ignore your own voice, you build another wall. And after some time, you feel trapped, not physically, but emotionally. You feel tense, even in simple moments. You feel nervous, even when nothing is wrong. You feel tired, without doing anything heavy. This is mental exhaustion. And it comes from one source: overthinking. Overthinking is not intelligence. It is fear. Fear of being wrong. Fear of being judged. Fear of not being enough. So your mind tries to control everything. It tries to predict reactions. It tries to avoid mistakes. But it never stops, because there is no end. You cannot control what people think, no matter how careful you are. And this is where the real problem begins. You start living for others, not for yourself. You make decisions based on their opinions, not your truth. You choose what feels safe, not what feels right. You say what sounds good, not what is real. And slowly, your life stops feeling like yours. It feels like a performance. You are always acting, trying to be liked, trying to be accepted, trying to be approved. And approval becomes your oxygen.
When people praise you, you feel good. When they ignore you, you feel empty. When they criticize you, you feel broken. This is dangerous, because now your emotional state is controlled by others. They do not even need to try. A small comment can change your mood. A simple silence can create anxiety. You become sensitive, not because you are weak, but because you gave away your power. You allowed their opinions to define you. And over time, something even more serious happens. You forget who you are. Your real thoughts become quiet. Your true feelings stay hidden. Your personality becomes smaller. You stop expressing yourself freely. You filter everything. You adjust everything. You control everything, until nothing feels natural anymore. You do not know what you want, only what others expect. You do not know what you feel, only what is acceptable. You do not know who you are, only who you should be. This is the deepest part of the prison: identity loss. And it is painful because it is silent. No one sees it. From the outside, you look fine. You smile. You function. You interact. But inside, you feel lost, disconnected, empty, and sometimes lonely, even when you are not alone, because no one knows the real you, not even you.
But here's something important. The door of this prison is open. It was always open. You just forgot. You forgot that you have a choice. You forgot that you do not need permission to be yourself. You forgot that your value is not decided by others. This is the moment of awareness. And awareness changes everything. Because now you can see the pattern. You can see the thoughts. You can see the habits. And once you see them, you can question them. Ask yourself something simple. Why do I care so much? Not to judge yourself, but to understand. Maybe you learned it from childhood. Maybe you were rewarded for being good. Maybe you were criticized for being different. So you adapted. You became careful. You became agreeable. You became easy to accept. But now you are not a child anymore. You do not need to survive in the same way. You can choose a new way, a healthier way, a freer way. And it starts with one small shift. Stop believing every thought. Not every thought is true. Not every fear is real. Not every opinion matters.
When your mind says, they will judge you, ask yourself, so what? When your mind says, they might not like you, ask yourself, do I like myself? These questions are powerful because they bring you back to yourself, back to your center. And slowly, the prison begins to weaken. The walls begin to crack. You start noticing moments of freedom, moments when you speak honestly, moments when you say no, moments when you choose yourself. At first, it feels uncomfortable, even scary, because you are not used to it. But discomfort is part of growth. It means you are changing. It means you are stepping out. And step by step, you begin to feel lighter. Your mind becomes quieter. Your thoughts become clearer. You stop replaying everything. You stop analyzing every detail. You stop seeking approval. And something beautiful happens. You start living, not performing, not pretending, but living as yourself. This is freedom. Not the loud kind, but the calm kind, the peaceful kind, the kind that does not need validation. And once you feel it, you will not want to go back. But there is still one important step, breaking the old pattern completely. Because awareness is not enough. You need action. You need a moment, a turning point, a moment where you say, enough is enough. And in the next part, you will discover that moment, the moment you stop caring too much. Not in anger, not in pain, but in clarity. And that is where your real life begins. Part 3. The moment you change everything. There comes a moment. It is quiet. It is simple, but it changes everything. It does not look dramatic. There is no noise, no big scene, just you and a realization. You sit alone, maybe in your room, maybe on your bed, maybe looking at your phone, waiting for a message that never comes. And in that silence, something becomes clear. You feel tired. Not because people are bad, not because life is unfair, but because you are exhausted. Exhausted from trying, exhausted from caring too much, exhausted from giving without return. And for the first time, you ask yourself a different question. Not, why are they like this? But, why am I allowing this? This question is powerful because it gives you back control. You stop looking outside and you start looking inside. You see your patterns. You see how many times you said yes when you wanted to say no. You see how many times you stayed silent when you wanted to speak.
You see how many times you stayed when you should have walked away. And slowly, you understand something important. Your pain is not only caused by others.
It is also caused by your lack of boundaries. This truth is uncomfortable, but it is also freeing, because if you helped create the pattern, you can also break it. And this is the moment everything begins to change. Not outside, but inside you. You feel a shift, a calm decision. I will not do this anymore. Not with anger, not with hate, but with clarity. This is what not caring anymore really means. It does not mean you stop feeling. It means you stop sacrificing yourself. It does not mean you stop loving. It means you stop losing yourself in the process. This is the difference, a powerful difference. From this moment, you begin to change your behavior. Slowly, step by step. You stop explaining yourself to everyone. Before, you felt the need to justify everything. Now, you understand something simple. People who want to misunderstand you will misunderstand you anyway. So you save your energy. You speak less, but with more meaning. You stop chasing validation. Before, you looked for approval, in words, in reactions, in attention. Now, you give that approval to yourself. You say, I am enough. Not because others say it, but because you decide it. This changes everything. You also stop reacting to disrespect. Before, you tried to prove your worth. Now, you see clearly. People who do not respect you are not your responsibility. So you step back. You create distance, not to punish them, but to protect yourself. This is self-respect, and it feels different. It feels calm. It feels strong. It feels free. Another change happens. You become selective. With your time, with your energy, with your attention. You no longer give everything to everyone. You choose. Who deserves your presence? Who deserves your care? You observe people. You notice who listens, who supports, who respects your boundaries. And you adjust. You do not try to change them. You accept them as they are, and you decide your distance. This is wisdom. Not everyone deserves access to you, and that is okay. At first, this new version of you may feel strange. Some people will notice. They will say, you changed. And they are right. You did change, but not in a bad way. You changed because you grew. Some people will feel uncomfortable because they liked the old you, the one who always agreed, the one who was easy to control. Now, you are different. You have boundaries. You have standards. You have self-respect. And not everyone will like that. Some people may leave. Some people may pull away. Some people may try to make you feel guilty. But remember this, you are not losing people. You are losing patterns. You are losing roles. You are losing versions of yourself that were never real. And what you gain is more important. You gain space. Space to think. Space to breathe. Space to grow. You begin to reconnect with yourself. Your real thoughts return. Your real feelings become clear. You start asking yourself, what do I want? And this time, you listen to the answer. You also discover something powerful, silence. Before, silence felt uncomfortable. You wanted to fill it, explain it, fix it. Now, silence becomes your strength. You do not need to respond to everything. You do not need to attend every argument. You do not need to prove your point. You choose calm, and calm is powerful. When you do not react, people notice. When you stay grounded, people feel it. Your presence changes. You become steady.
you become centered. You are no longer easily shaken, and this creates a new kind of respect. Not loud respect, but quiet respect. The kind that does not need words. Another important lesson appears. You learn to love differently. Before, you loved without limits. You gave everything. Now, you love with awareness. You still care, you still support, but you do not lose yourself. You do not beg for attention. You do not chase people. You do not sacrifice your peace. You understand your value, and you protect it. This creates healthier relationships, because now you attract people who respect you, people who match your energy, people who do not drain you. And slowly, your life begins to feel lighter. You sleep better. Your mind is quieter. You stop replaying conversations. You stop worrying about opinions. You wake up with more clarity. Your decisions become easier because they come from you, not from fear, not from pressure, but from truth. You smile more, not to impress, but because you feel at peace. And this peace is real. It is not based on approval. It is not based on attention. It comes from within. This is the calm power of not caring too much. It is not loud. It does not need to prove anything. It simply exists. Strong, quiet, unshakable. And then, one final realization appears. Freedom was never outside. It was never about controlling people or changing their opinions. It was always inside you. It was always about this, choosing where to place your energy, choosing what to care about, choosing yourself. This is the real solution, not to stop caring completely, but to care wisely. Care about your growth, care about your peace, care about your purpose. Let go of what does not matter. Let go of what drains you. Let go of what steals your joy. And when you do this, something beautiful happens. You create space. Space in your mind, space in your heart, space in your life. And in that space, you find clarity. You find strength. You find yourself. This is your new life. A life where you are not controlled by opinions. A life where you are not trapped by fear. A life where you are free. Free to think, free to feel, free to be yourself. And it all started with one simple decision: to stop caring too much. Not because you gave up, but because you finally woke up.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Self-Study Every Day for more helpful lessons. Leave a comment and tell me what you want to learn next.